Welcome to the Deadlifts and Pizza podcast, where we discuss no BS fitness and nutrition.
We're your hosts. I'm Laura.
And I'm Jamie.
Let's get into it.
Okay, want to hear a funny, not funny story?
Okay.
So we were traveling in Japan, and I brought my laptop because I always think I might work. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. And having my laptop was pointless. And this was one of those trips. Having it was pointless. And I lugged it around from hotel room to hotel room and would just kind of set it there and constantly being like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared I'm going to forget it, and moving its location, right? Because it's just this thin thing that can blend in. I didn't forget it. At the very end, we were going to leave our luggage in the hotel room and then go walk around and then come back and get our luggage. So I didn't put my laptop in my backpack. I put it in another bag of random stuff. I had a bag of random stuff that would need to be repacked once we actually went to the airport. And I have a memory of taking it out of the bag of random stuff and putting it into my backpack. But when I got home and I unpacked my backpack, which is my day bag where I keep everything, it wasn't there. And I didn't notice necessarily that it wasn't there at the moment because it was yesterday that Donovan was like, oh, hey, where's the laptop? And all of a sudden I just went, the last memory I have of it is in the hotel lobby, placing it into my backpack. And then I'm 100% sure that when I unpacked my backpack and I took everything out, because I like to wash my backpack after a trip, my day bag, it wasn't there because I would have remembered. So at some point in the middle, it disappeared. And the only thing that I could think of was when you go through security at the airport, you have to take your laptop out and put it in a separate bin. And at that moment in the security line, two of our bags got flagged. So it was a little bit of chaos being like, all right, you go check that bag. I'm going to get my stuff. And so I was like, it's gone. It's in an airport in Japan, my laptop. And I'm going through all of this and I'm progressively at first I was very calm. It's that calm chaos where you're like, are we sure about this? And then I retraced all my steps in my mind. I was like, there's no other possibility. That's where it is. And Donovan's like, well, what if it's in the hotel lobby? You just never, but I was like, no, I remember putting it in. I know, this is where my memory stops. I'm 100% sure this is where it is. So I start going, I'm like, all right, I might fly to Japan to go get my laptop because that's cheaper than buying a new one. It would be cheaper to fly to the airport, pick it up and fly back than it would be to go get a new laptop. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And so I'm just like, dang it. So it's a whole 24 hours. I'm like, all right, I'm first I got to contact the airport. I got to make sure they have it because there's no other place it could be. I was like, I could to fill out the form, Terminal 3. We were going through security. It was this day. It was at this time. You got to fill out a police report. You got to do all these things. So I was online, trying to figure all this out in Japanese or translated or whatever, but filled out all the form, waiting for a response. And then last night I walk in my son's room to tell him something. And I turn my head and there's my laptop all set up for podcasting because I forgot that when we got back at 1:30 in the morning and I had an 8 a.m., I was a guest on somebody else's podcast at 8 a.m. And so that's why when I unpacked my backpack, it wasn't there because I just threw my hand in and grabbed it, went and podcasted, and I unpacked later.
How do you forget that?
It was just one of those, I went through everything in my mind. I was like, there's nothing that happened in between. And
you used it.
It's all set up with the pot. Everything's still plugged in, from 2 days before. Everything was, this towel was set up on his desk because I had to go in his room and shut the door because everybody was home that day. So I had to be in a private spot, and that's why I had set it up in his room. And I just was like, oh. And it's just that entire, all of it was just gone.
Well, I mean, okay. all that stress is gone. You found it.
I was very glad. I went downstairs. I was like, hey, Donovan. He's like, yeah.
They're expensive.
And I was like, remember that I recorded a podcast that morning? He was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I had to report that podcast at 8 a.m. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, and then I had to leave it so that it would load. You have to leave the computer open so it would load. He's like, yeah. I was like, remember I did that in Joaquin's room because you guys were all home? He's like, yeah. Oh, your laptop. And I was like, yes.
He's like, get there.
I was going to fly to Japan. I was 2 seconds away from booking my tickets to go get it. So,
that sounds like our Jamie thing to do.
Yeah.
Forget that.
I feel like anybody would do that. I feel like that could be an anybody thing.
I don't know if I could forget where it was when I used it to podcast. It would be
Yeah.
different if I took it out and I was like tired and I put it somewhere and then I totally forgot that I did that. But if I actually used it, I think I would have remembered that.
Yeah, I went through every step.
I
It's like, no, we got
think.
home at 1 a.m. And then the next day I unpacked my backpack. And in between there, it was gone. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because you took it out before you unpacked your backpack to podcast. So anyway. All right, non-fitness related fun stuff.
So how I don't want to call it your diet because you didn't like when I called it your diet, but what do you want me to call it? How's your food coming?
How's my diet?
How's your nutrition?
My diet's always good. It's excellent. I am on it this
Are
week.
you?
I am so on it, yeah. And it's gonna be phenomenal. I'm gonna get so ripped. How about you?
I'm good. Like normally we're a little different, right? You like to go slow, lower your
No,
calories
we're
a
the
little bit,
same.
and go
You and
slow.
me. Yeah, we're just the
Yeah.
same in everything.
And I'm just ignoring that. And I like to go a little bit faster usually and cut my calories a little bit more because I like to get it over with because I don't want to stay here very long. Like I just want to get it over with and get back to eating normal.
Right.
But this time I decided to go a little bit slower because it feels really good right now. Like I feel
Yeah.
okay. The calories I'm at and I'm still making progress with it. And I think that's the route I'm going to go this time. So I'm probably going to be in a little longer than I wanted to.
I
But
definitely think I very strongly believe, you hear people say like, oh, what works for you, what works for you. And that's true because different things are going to work for different people, but it works for different people at different times too, like for you. Like that's
yeah,
the way you've done it a lot of times, but that doesn't mean the way you do it forever.
yeah, it does. It has worked for me in the past because I could get it off real quick. But now it's a little bit more stubborn to come off. And I feel like if I eventually have to get so low that my metabolism I feel like adapts really quickly and
Mm-hmm.
I just don't lose anything. Last fat loss phase I was eating like 1,300 calories by the end, and I don't want to do that.
That's
so
so what are you at right now? What are your calories at? And what's your rate
like
of weight loss right now?
so I'm at like 1,700 to 1,800, so I'm still pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
um and I don't really feel deprived. My workouts are fine. I feel pretty, I feel fine. Like there's a couple
Mm-hmm.
little things I noticed, but for the most part, I'm fine. Um, and I started at like 127 ish. I don't really, so I weighed myself for like a week before I started, and at certain times it got up to like 128, 120. I didn't know what was happening with my weight. I don't understand. It just like kept climbing up higher. At one time it said 129. I'm going to say it was like 127.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like 125. So I'm down 2 pounds.
Okay.
And that was like, when did we start? Well,
I don't know. I went to Japan. I feel like it erased anything I did before then.
I'm in my fourth week of my training. It's 4 weeks. This is my fourth week. So it's been 3 weeks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
my plan right now. So I started 2 weeks before I went on a trip, and those 2 weeks, I really was not very consistent. And I was just doing, I don't actually know how many calories I was eating. I was trying to do the Whole Foods challenge, but I was not doing it. Like my meals, I was doing it, but I wasn't, my kids would bring home their peanut butter pretzels from their snack, and I was grabbing a couple and like that, but that was happening often. Like it definitely happened often enough that I wasn't even weighing myself. I was very half-assing it, is the point. And
Yeah.
then my family came, and I was still mostly fine. But then we went to Japan, and I was in like, and even me on vacation, I talk about like, oh my god, I just ate everything. The reality is, if we had one very delicious meal in a day, like that was pretty much. I couldn't eat out more than once. Like if we have a big brunch or a big breakfast, I that's pretty much it. Like I can eat like a little bit for lunch and a little bit for dinner and I'm done. If we had a very big dinner meal, like I wasn't eating very much of it. So we would have like one excellent meal like per
Yeah.
day. And then the other, and I was still including protein. I was still focusing on where's my protein coming from? Where's my fiber coming from in those meals? But they were definitely high calorie. And then the other two meals that I would eat in a day, usually like breakfast, lunch, or dinner was what we would eat out. So then the other two, A lot of times we're like 7-Eleven. 7-Elevens in Japan are top notch. And I've told you that. Amazing. But I was getting like black beans and salmon, like from the 7-Eleven, or like, I was getting like a chicken breast and like edamame or something like that. So I was still like definitely focused on it, but my calories were 100% high. If my
Yeah.
husband was like, want a beer? I was like, sure.
Yeah.
Want another one? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, my first couple, I don't know, like last week was a little better. Before that, I think it was even higher. Yeah. I don't think I'm in a deficit. Obviously things are happening, but I think
Yeah.
I just went back to what I was at before it popped up for some reason. So my
Bodies,
training,
man.
I'm really enjoying my training though.
What are you
I
doing
look
right now?
forward to it. The triphasic training.
Oh, cool. Which phase are you in?
Right now I'm doing the isometric, so doing like pushing against the pins in a bench press or pulling on a row or
I
something
don't
like
want to
that
do that.
and pausing.
Is
Why
that
not?
fun? Is it for every exercise? You're just not moving? Every
Yeah.
exercise, you're just not
In that
moving.
one workout, it's every exercise for the most part. Yeah, it's every
It's only
exercise.
one workout?
I'm only doing 2 of those, and then the rest is power workouts.
Is that meant to be that way? Is it built that
Yeah.
way, or are you doing two different things? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds boring.
It's
Gotta
not.
push
It's
against this
different.
thing that doesn't move.
It
Now I'm
it's
done.
it's exhausting. It's
Really?
exhausting pushing, and you're basically going to failure in every rep because you
Yeah.
can't move it.
Yeah.
So you're taking all of that energy. And sometimes I feel like I don't like certain things. I'm like, I don't know if this feels good. Like I need to not push so hard, you know?
Huh.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
It's different. I
Yeah.
like it because it's different. But next week is concentric. So that's the fun stuff. You
Uh-huh.
know, I haven't deadlifted in 4 weeks. So the deadlift.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I also realized I get different goals. I want to work on my upper body strength, like pull ups. I want to be able to do pull ups and like dead hangs, like all that upper body pulling strength. So I started working on that in between. So
Hmm.
I'm doing like pull ups every day, like 6 sets of 1. I did for the first 2 weeks. This week I'm doing 6 sets of 2 every day. And then next,
You know what my friend does? This is my male taekwondo friend that also works out,
mhm.
and we always chit chat about, oh yeah, deadlift today. Would you deadlift? Whatever. Like we have those conversations multiple times a week. But he told me the other day his workouts consist of one major lift. So he either deadlifts, squats, or benches every time he goes to the gym. And he'll go random. One week he might go twice. One week he might go 4 times, and it's either a squat, a deadlift, or a bench. And then after that, he does EMOM pull-ups. He does 20 pull-ups on the minute, every minute for 20 minutes. Is it 20 or is it 10? And that's it. I was like, that's what you do? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, no other exercises? He's like, no.
It's so weird.
Oh. And then
Okay.
for the 3 lifts, squat, deadlift, and bench, he follows 5-3-1.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're supposed to do 5 reps for 3 sets. And then the next week you do 3 reps for 3 sets. And then for the third week, you do 5, 3, and then 1 rep. And so basically, and then the 4th week, you're supposed to deload. And then you're supposed to do it again. 5 reps for 3 sets, 3 reps for 3 sets, and then 5, 3, 1.
Mm.
And so it's supposed to be, and then and then you're supposed to be doing a percentage of your 1 rep max each for those 5, 3, and then 5, 3, 1. That purposefully helps you get stronger. And then you do the deload
Yeah.
4th week, and then you repeat it. And he just consistently does that, but he skips the deload week every single time. He just does the first 3 weeks and then jumps right back into the first 3 weeks. And then he comes in like, oh yeah, my shoulders. Like, dude, he's like, oh man, my knee. Dude, you need to stop doing 5-3-1 without the 4th week.
Yeah.
And then, there's no other exercises, and that's a workout to him. And here I am going like, oh, I didn't complete my workout because I only did 4 of my like 6 exercises in my day. And this guy's going in and doing 1 and being like, yeah, I worked out today. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to go easier on myself. But the pull-ups,
Yeah.
that's what I was like, okay, every single workout, 2 to 4 times a week, he's doing like a million pull-ups. Every minute on the minute for 20 minutes. He just puts on a show and does pull-ups. Thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I want to do pull-ups more often. That was the encouraging part too.
Well, I'm done because you interrupted me, so I'm lost my train of thought now. So.
Well, you were talking about pull-ups. That you're doing pull-ups and you're trying to get more of them.
Yeah. That's it, I guess. And I was doing dead
But how many
hangs.
can you do now?
Well, I'm not trying to go to like that's the point. I'm trying to go really light because I feel like that's the problem when I do any type of pull-up training. I always end up quitting because I go too hard and I end up getting burnt out. So I'm not doing that. So I did like 6 sets of 1, like I'm not going heavy or not doing too many, like not getting close to failure at all. And then this week was 6 sets. This week I'm doing 6 sets of 2, and I'm probably going to do that for like a couple weeks. And then I'm probably going to do like 4 sets of 3 the next couple weeks and keep going up.
Are you doing them every workout like that?
Mm-hmm.
Every workout doing pull-ups?
Yeah, I don't really do it during my workout. I do it like in the middle of the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing chin-ups or overhand?
I'm doing chin-ups. I should say chin-ups because I want to get 10. I want to be able to do like 10 of those, and then once I can do more of those, then I'll switch to pull-ups.
Are you ever testing your like max reps that you can do?
No. Just like I would with a powerlifting program. I'm not going to test it or even get close there until I'm ready.
That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way. I will test like my pull-ups a lot, but you're right. When do I ever test my 1 rep max on a deadlift?
Yeah, you shouldn't.
But I don't test my 1 rep max on a deadlift, but I'll test how many reps I can do of a certain weight on a deadlift though. So I guess that would be a better comparison.
I mean, I do, but I shouldn't do that as often as I do. It would be better if I didn't. You can progress and move up, but you shouldn't be like going to failure when you're doing strength things all the time. And then I was doing dead hangs and and have you ever done single arm dead hangs?
Oh, no.
No, I never have either.
I mean, I guess I have accidentally, like coming down from a pull-up and I'm hanging for a little bit, but never like intentionally.
So I never do either. And it's so funny because when you have never done anything and then you go to do it, my body was like, "What are you doing?" It was like,
did it hurt
trying
your
to
shoulder?
figure out. No, I was just trying to figure out. Like I literally couldn't do it. Like I was there for like a couple seconds and then I had to like fall because my body was like confused. It didn't know what. Like I've never done this before. I don't know what you're asking of me. You've never told me to do this before. What is this? Right. So just like with the one hand, it was like really funny because I'm like, like hanging there and I couldn't like do it. The next day, I did it again and I was able to hold it for like 10 seconds. It was like my body was like, oh, I get it now. I get it. I get what you're asking of me. I can do this now. But it reminds me of when I was a kid and I would do the monkey bars and how easy the monkey bars were. Like they were too easy. They were boring. Like I would just not do them because they were that's too easy. And when my son was playing football, so sometime in the fall, we went to one of his games like really early. So we went to the playground and there were monkey bars there. So I started trying to do that. And I'm like, oh my God, these are so hard.
I was just going to say, like, hard. Have you tried to do the monkey bars as an adult?
They're very hard.
You know what the hardest part though is how it hurts my hands. Like the twist when you're swinging.
Mm-hmm.
And I have pretty like calloused, I guess, like hands from deadlifts and it still hurts. I don't know. I literally don't know how kids with their soft little hands like do monkey bars.
I can't swing the same way. I'm not as light and like I just can't do it. And then the sad part too is Caleb couldn't do it. I'm like, what do you do when like you're at the playground at school? How do you not know how to do the monkey bars?
Not monkey sad. Bars.
Kids, But now I'll probably be able to do it now because I'm holding, hanging there with one arm.
Wait, could you do them that time in the fall? Were you able to cross them?
I could, but I was very, very. I did not look graceful as I was doing that. It was like, it wasn't like swinging,
Now I want to do it. Yeah. Now I want to find some monkey bars.
I know.
That's funny.
So I want all that, like, I want to be an American Ninja Warrior type strength, all that upper body strength, all of that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway.
Awesome.
one more thing it reminded me of. So I watched this another video on how I am elite, you know. So I was
Of
watching this
course.
video on YouTube from Eugene Tao. I think that's how you say his name. Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
He's got good stuff. He's one of the good ones. Um, and he was doing a video where he had like all these. He called them influencers, but I think they were like, you know, some of them. One was a power lifter, one was a bodybuilder, one was, I don't even know who the other ones were, but he had them come in and test all these different things and like all these different uh, like fitness tests, right? So the first one was a deadlift, and the girl that was the power lifter was the strongest girl of them all, obviously at the deadlift, and she was able to do 2.4 times her body weight, and she's, you know, like a competitive power lifter, and I'm like, I'm so close to that. Like I could go and compete in powerlifting right now, right?
I've
And
told
then
you that before.
I know,
I've told you that, like, you would be competitive now, which is
I
why you
know,
should join, because it's not like you'd be starting from the bottom. Like, okay, this
no,
is the stream I have. I'm going to learn how to deadlift. And then, no, you'd be competitive now. So then think of like what you'd be able to do with, like, I don't know, that community and focused training.
yeah, I guess it's not me. I just don't have those. I'm too old with it now. Like I don't mean like
That's
old and
what,
like I'm
yeah,
too old
you
to
are.
lift. I mean that I'm too old in that I have other priorities, like my
Yeah,
family
I
and
know what
other
you mean.
things.
It's like
Uh
you don't even know if you want to.
yeah, it's like this is about me, you know. Um and then the next one was, I think, the assault bike. So we had them go as a minute on the assault bike as fast as they could, and that was part of it, like how many, I guess, how many calories or something you were going to burn. But then it was like it was testing their heart rate, like the recovery of their heart rate. So we had them test their heart rate when they got off. So it's basically going to be your max heart rate, right? And
Hmm.
then how much it goes down after you get off the bike, and or after a minute, I mean. And he said like 18, like if it goes down by 18, that's about good. And a lot of them didn't even get it that high. Like a lot of them were less than that.
Go down like 18 beats per minute.
Yeah,
In what time frame?
in a minute.
In a minute?
Hmm.
Huh.
And I don't have any idea what mine would be, but it probably wouldn't be good.
I think mine's pretty good. I was
you're
just thinking in my
you're
mind, I
probably
feel
good.
like mine goes down more than that in a minute, but
Yeah.
I don't think my watch is very good at really knowing.
No. No,
Or
mine
like
isn't
sometimes
either.
it'll
No.
randomly, it's usually decent, like when my
Yeah.
heart rate's high, it's like it's a high number, but
Hmm.
sometimes it'll randomly be like it's 120 and I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, "No, it's not. You're wrong.
Yeah.
You're really wrong." I want to
Yeah.
get one of those chest ones. I want to get something that's just curious. You know what I mean? I'd like
Yeah,
to know.
definitely. Um and then it might have been, this might not be the right order, vertical jump, and
Yours
the
was
one,
elite.
yeah, the girl had the highest at 22 inches. That's mine, 22 inches, which is actually very high. That's in like, he had like levels. It was like
Uh-huh.
uh 15 to, he had like intermediate, advanced, and then like elite. Maybe intermediate would maybe like 15 to 20, 16 to 20, like 20 to 24 was advanced, and then like anything higher than that is like, you know, you're a superstar. So mine's like 22.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And I'm like watching this, I'm like, I'm as good as these people, right? I had the highest
Yeah.
jump as the girl. I was almost as high as the power lifter in the deadlifting. And then they had the power lifter, I think, jumped 18 inches. And then the other girl was only 11.
Hmm.
And then he had them do, what was the last one? Oh, he had them dead hang. I don't remember what their times were for dead hanging, but he said anything over a minute is good, and I can hold it for way more than that. I could probably hold it for
Hmm.
like 2 minutes. I probably would have beat a lot of them in the dead hang because they weren't. It was like, I don't remember what they got, but I was watching and like, I feel like they should be able to hold themselves longer than that.
It's so interesting. This just makes me think, and I'm not taking away anything from how hard you work, because I think we've had this conversation. You definitely work out very hard, but genetics really play into these kinds of things. And I just find that really interesting. Like you are just naturally athletically, so like whatever work you do, whatever you apply to your already like
Yeah.
privileged status as a, like a
Yeah.
natural athlete just kind of
Yeah.
takes you up there very quickly versus somebody who's maybe doesn't have those natural things and then they work really, really hard and they might work, I don't know, 2 or 3 times harder than you and they still can't get, or they barely get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, a good example is me, my single arm dead hang. I couldn't do it the one day. The very next day, I could hold it for 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that, and my body is like, I got it. I got it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And that plays
Uh-huh.
into a lot of different things, you know, the way our bodies look or the way we lose fat or gain fat and
Mm-hmm.
our ability to gain or lose muscle or strength, you know, athletic ability and agility versus like strength and power is all like different based on
Yeah.
genetic factors. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And then the last one was like muscular endurance, who was having them do like the leg press for so many. I don't know. I couldn't test that one. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But for three of
Yeah,
them, I was like, I am up here with the best of the best.
that's really cool.
Yeah. I am elite over here
Elite with more proof.
with more
Your
proof
elite
of my elite
status.
status. Yep.
Love it. Very cool.
All right. You can go now. I'm done talking.
Speaking of elitism, you want to talk about BCAA?
BCAAs.
I'm always trying to find ways to link things together. Like, oh, speaking of.
Speaking of something we weren't talking about at all.
Exactly. Let me find the link to these two things. No, it's just, this was on my mind anyway, because somebody was just asking me about BCAAs and which BCAAs they should take. I get this question a lot. People say like, oh, what do you think of these two? Oh, you know what was the, another BCAA question. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Somebody said, these are these two BCAA supplements, and I'm wondering which one is better. Supplement A is relatively inexpensive, and it's on Amazon, and it tastes pretty good, and I've had it before. However, a prior trainer really recommended I use supplement B, and it's like 3 times as expensive, and it also tastes good because he let me try it, but I don't really know if it's worth like all the extra money. Like, can you tell me what your thoughts were? And she sent me a screenshot of the nutrition labels on each one. Did you see this?
What?
Because this was in the group.
Probably
This was
not.
in the WhatsApp group. I wasn't sure if you
No.
saw it. So I had a couple of responses to that one. My first response was the obvious one, which is both of them are likely a waste of your money because this is somebody that's already eating enough protein. And so that's the thing I'm going to talk about in a second. But the second point that I pointed out with this was, first of all, and I thought this was really interesting. So BCAAs are branched chain amino acids. They're the basically protein. They're the amino acids that your body needs, right? And there's certain ones. How many of them do you only get from food? You'll know the number. What is it? Is it like 5 of them or 3 of them? There's some you only get from food.
Amino
Or that
acids?
yeah.
It's
Is it all 9?
It's any, yeah, anything
The branch
that's
chain?
I don't know, anything that's essential. I don't know what how many are essential. I don't remember.
Anyway, there's
normally I
leucine
remember
is
these things, but I don't.
leucine. Tell me what you know about leucine. Leucine
Is like the most important for building muscle.
Right. And they also work together. So like you have to be able to get like a complete profile of all the amino acids. So in the label, if you looked at the label of the cheaper one, it had the breakdown of which amino acids were in there and the percentage of each one. So it had like leucine and the percentage, and then like the other ones and the percentages of them. Whereas in the more expensive one, it didn't give the percentage breakdowns. It just said amino acid blend, and it didn't give a breakdown, which to me right away was like, that to me is kind of an issue because if you're in like the fitness space and lifting space, you know that leucine is the one that we want the most of. So if you're blatantly putting it on your label, here, there's a lot of leucine in this, versus the other one, if you just say it's a blend, you can put hardly any leucine in there and then charge more for it. Just that lack of clarity in general was like sketchy. Right. And then it was like this, there was a guy on the front and it was like his name. So it was very much, I don't even know who this guy is, but it was very much like, I can charge more because you know me and you'll buy stuff for me because I am whoever this guy was. Right.
I don't like proprietary blends of anything because they could just lie about what's in there. They could put little
Yeah,
bits of
there's
the most expensive and the more important things in there. So I wouldn't buy things with
exactly.
proprietary blends.
Yeah. But the thing was like two or three times more expensive than the other one, right? So
Yeah.
I just thought that was very, and then just the ability, just the fact that it was like some specific guy selling his product. And so, yeah, so I basically told her there's not going to be a difference in these. If anything, the more expensive one might actually be less effective because they're not telling you how much of these different amino acids are in it. But then just BCAAs in general. So there was a study too that was just put in one of the research reviews I was reading on, they just took leucine, that really important one, and they gave like men. So this is like most of the people that are kind of obsessed about taking BCAAs are like trained men, right?
Yeah.
So they had men in this kind of, I think it was anywhere between like 20 to 40 years old, like that main age range. And they did leucine and a placebo and then had them train and then had them train, right, in a specific way. And there was literally no difference between strength, muscle mass, or
No.
anything, even when they supplemented with only leucine. And it wasn't
Yeah.
that surprising. Like even like the person that was doing this research review was like, this isn't like super surprising. We already know this, but it's just another.
It's like, how many times do we have to test this? We
How
kind
many
of
times do
know.
we have to test it? Right. But what I thought was funny about it was that it wasn't BCAAs. It wasn't all
It
of
was
them.
just
They
leucine.
weren't. It was just they were like, all right, y'all. Leucine's the most important. Let's isolate that one.
Yeah.
Let's supplement it in these doses. And we're going to make sure protein is mounted because that's the thing. As long as your protein's amounted for, you're already
Yeah.
getting enough leucine. You're already getting enough of all of them.
There are studies that show that leucine will help you build muscle if you're not getting enough protein.
Right.
So if you supplement with that and you're
Exactly.
not getting enough protein, it will make a difference. But if you
Yeah.
are, then there's no need to worry about it at all.
Yeah. That's why I say the only time you should consider taking BCAAs, or even if you just want to do straight up leucine, is when you're not getting enough protein or you question whether you're getting enough protein. So this person might be somebody who's like vegan, or maybe they're eating an extremely low calorie diet and their protein is, in that zone where they're just not really sure if they're getting enough. Sometimes they'll even say if you're training fasted and you're not going to eat until later. So if you eat immediately after your workout, even if you train fasted, if you eat immediately after, you should be fine. But if you're going to delay that, if you're going to work out at like 7 a.m. and not eat till like 10, 11, or 12, I would say BCAAs could be helpful and help, especially for women, I think.
I would say even before your workout, because if you're like me and you get stomach aches and you like, if you eat anything and it's just like digesting things like sometimes that can help, if you want some protein in the middle of your workout, some amino
What, like
acids
taking BCAAs?
before your workout.
Yeah.
Instead of taking protein, instead of eating protein.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's why I said training fasted,
Yeah.
right? Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, but you're saying like if you're not, if you're going to eat afterwards or whatever. But I think even before it can be helpful.
Yeah.
If you want, if you are eating after, I'm saying. Sorry.
BCAAs.
Yeah. I feel like we've talked
Waste of
about that multiple times. It's something that will continue to come up because there's still people pushing it.
Well, I was talking to somebody the other day that was like, well, I just like having that flavor. I like having that flavor kick in my water. And my response to that is like, well, how about electrolytes?
Yeah.
That would be probably better and more effective. So yeah, BCAAs. Want to talk about menopause weight loss?
Okay.
Remember that one study that was like devastating?
Yes.
What was it? It was that they took postmenopausal women and they had them strength train optimally and suboptimally, and neither group gained muscle.
And they didn't build muscle.
Equal.
But we don't know how much protein they were eating.
We didn't know how much protein. Zero diet was accounted for. That is incredibly important.
Yes.
They weren't even.
I'm going to disregard that study.
Yeah, it wasn't even calorie controlled. So it's very, very. But so I was reading this other one, and this isn't mind blowing necessarily. I actually took something a little different away from it. So it was another menopause weight loss study, but that was purposely for rapid weight loss and to see if rapid weight loss or slower weight loss in menopausal women made an impact in terms of muscle loss. So what we would think is that if somebody does rapid weight loss, which is losing a lot of weight in a short period of time, then they're at risk of more muscle loss than if they do it slower. So they took these menopausal women. They had all these criteria for it. They set it up. It was a 12-month calorie deficit. So they did it for a whole year. And
Oh.
yeah, so it was a whole year. I guess these people had a lot of weight to lose. So they did a whole year. Half of the women, they did a kind of a manageable calorie deficit the entire year. So it was about 30%, I believe, 30% lower the entire year. And then the other half of the women, they did a 70% calorie deficit. Now there's numbers to this, but it's very severe. It was a severe calorie deficit for 4 months. And then they brought it up to 30% for the rest of the year. So they had that
Okay.
initial rapid period and then more moderate.
For 4 months. So if I'm
4 months.
eating, so if my maintenance, you tell me, so like if my maintenance is 2,000 calories and I'd be eating 600 calories for 4 months.
I know. That's when I was like 70% of what? Of what they were already eating, of their estimated maintenance. And it's
I'm a,
probably in there. It's probably in the study. I'm not 100% sure what it is off
so
the top of my head.
so 70% deficit is what I thought you meant. Because if the 30%, I'm assuming that's a deficit.
It
So
is
that
a
means that,
deficit, but is it a deficit of what they were already eating, or is it a deficit of what their estimated maintenance is?
well,
That's
wouldn't
what
that
my
be
question
around the
is.
same?
Could
I feel like
be. I
that would
mean,
be
people
around the
could be
same.
eating above their maintenance. It could be standard American diet eating close to 4,000 calories.
That's true. If you're eating like 3,500 calories, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. And then you're including weight loss. I mean, not weight loss, you're including exercise. And so that's going to adjust what their output is.
Yeah.
And it's in the stuff. It's in there. I mean,
Okay.
I didn't, now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder what that is. Cause I did see 70%. I was like, oh my God, that's like, yeah, like 600. Are you serious? Like that's a really low amount of calories.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm doing the math in my head now. If they were eating 3,000, that means they're still only eating 900.
Yeah. It's very low.
It's very low.
It's extreme no matter what.
Yeah.
But I could go back and get all the numbers, but I didn't remember all of the numbers. I just remember the important parts of it. So anyway, they did this rapid extreme protocol for 4 months. Now, the thing to know about the way that they structured the nutrition, so they had them come in every week to meet with somebody for accountability and all of that stuff. But they didn't really have 100% accuracy. Like these people weren't tracking. They were given guidelines, like here's your calories. And then they were given protein recommendations, which were still below optimal, but they weren't awful. I think it was like zero point 0.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight, which for somebody who's overweight is going to end up being, a
Oh,
little bit better. If you're already overweight, then 0.5 is
yeah.
not going to be that. It's probably going to be, closer to zero point 0.8 per pound of lean body mass. So it's probably going to
Yeah.
be decent. So they were given that recommendation on protein and then the calorie recommendation. And then they were meeting with them every week for the entire year to keep them accountable. They did have some people drop out, but not nearly as many. And then they all did lose weight. So they do all
I
know
would
that they were
drop out.
trying to stick to it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I would drop out too. I think it was something
I
like
can't do this.
the research reviewer that was reading it was saying, I expected more people to drop out of the severe calorie restriction
Yeah.
section. And he said of 110 people who completed it, 110 people who started, 85 finished. And he was like, I actually
Wow.
would have expected more of a 50% drop off based on how
Yeah. And
hard that first 4 months are.
so I wonder how many people were lying.
Yeah. Well, so and the other point he made, the research reviewer, because this was a study, but it was a research review. So it was somebody I respect that was reviewing a study, right? So he was giving
Yeah.
his opinion in on it too, and questions that he had. And that's definitely one of the things. And it's not yeah, so some of it is lying, but not really, because you're not really reporting. So if you're not reporting something, they didn't have them actually report how much they were eating each day. They just said like, hey, you really need to stick to this. But he was like, it's a whole year. It's ridiculous to believe that every single day these people were eating this exact
Yeah.
amount. There definitely were days that they were over or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
but for the most part, a lot of these people stuck to it. So we're gonna get to the results, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I
Do you
keep
want to make a
interrupting you.
prediction? No, this is all like good context, I think. Do you want to make a prediction what happened between these two groups? Oh, and they were another piece to know is they did not have them they were not trained people, and they did not have them resistance train, but they did encourage them to increase their steps. So people were kind of scattered with their steps, and they got them up to about 12,000 on average, 10 to 12,000 steps a day.
Okay. So not only did they drastically cut their calories, but now they have to walk another. It just all right.
Yep.
And these were people in menopause?
Yeah, postmenopausal. Yeah.
Or postmenopausal. So, I mean,
45 to 65, I think, was the age range of these women. And it
like
was a
what
year.
kind of, I mean, just like comparing the two groups, is that my guess? Like what
Yeah,
happened
so what
between
we're
the two?
looking at is fat loss, which one had greater fat loss, and which one had greater muscle loss.
Well, I would assume the rapid weight loss had, more muscle loss and more fat loss. They probably had both, more of both.
Okay, so fat loss, the rapid weight loss had more fat loss. But what's interesting about it is that they definitely had more fat loss in the 4-month period where it was extreme, but they maintained.
Oh, I forgot they upped their calories. Okay, go ahead.
They did. So for the rest of the year, so what's 12 months minus 4? What is it?
8?
9? 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes. So for the other 8 months, math, for the other 8 months, they were more of a moderate deficit. But what's interesting is their rate of weight loss stayed the same, almost the same, with very little change throughout the year. So while they lost a pretty significant amount in the first part, they kind of maintained that rate of progress throughout the year. It was a little bit lower because they brought their calories up. So it was a little bit lower, but it was still much more than the rest of the group. Than the other
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, they say the reason that probably happened is, and this points to the psychological effects of rapid weight loss, that the people who did something extreme and stuck to it were very motivated by the big jump on the scale. And so they were probably way more consistent the rest of the time. Even when their calories went up, they had gotten used to this extreme deficit. So most likely it was actually way easier for them, and they were more motivated to stick to it.
Got it. So it's not the actual calorie change is the thing. It's that the psyche. Okay.
Right.
Got it.
And yeah, so that part was really interesting. And they definitely lost more muscle than the other group.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, percentage based, they didn't actually lose a bigger percentage of muscle than the other group.
You mean like compared to fat?
They lost more weight overall, but it stayed about 25% of the weight that they lost in both groups was from muscle mass.
Okay.
So the actual amount of muscle they lost was more, but it was still about 25% of their total weight that they lost.
Interesting.
So it wasn't that much different, which again makes me wonder, well, if they were resistance training, I wonder what that would be. I wonder what that difference would be.
Yeah.
Because the other thing was that in the severe group, their diagnoses of osteopenia went up from 19% to 36%. Their bone mineral density went down. But that's expected to happen when you lose muscle, right? Yeah. But they didn't really lose an extreme amount of muscle. It's just that they lost so much weight that 25% of that weight is going to come from muscle.
Well, I mean, if you're doing that extreme diet, you might lose 100 pounds. That means 25 pounds is from muscle.
Right.
That's a lot.
But does it really make a difference if you lose that 100 pounds and I'm being extreme here, but 6 months versus 2 years? Are you still going to lose 25% of it being muscle?
According to the study,
Not if you're strength training, though. That's where I want to see that.
Yeah.
Well, let's have them strength train.
Yeah, I'm just saying that is a lot of muscle. 25 pounds.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. But again, these are people that are not strength training. So I really think this can be mitigated if you're resistance training.
Yeah.
100%. I know it can be mitigated if you're resistance training. I want to see the study where I wish this exact study was done while they were resistance training. Why can't we have that? Menopausal women, strength training, and also losing
Why is
fat.
it one or the other? Because you have to control. You have to have controls for things. That would be a control.
Couldn't you just thrown it in?
It
We're gonna
like
do 3 days a week, full body strength training.
yeah, because it should be actually in there because it would be more accurate. Because what if were they told you can't resistance train?
I don't believe so.
So some of them could have been, and we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah,
So
that's a
it's
limitation of
more
it.
yeah, it's more accurate if you actually have them do that. Just like the other one, it's more accurate when you actually look at what they're eating,
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
just being like,
Can
yeah,
there be
so,
any study that actually just hits every nail on the head? Like, just
yeah.
hit all the nails on the head in
And
one
these
study.
and these
We're all
people
missing
are
something.
and these people like are fitness people. Like some of them, they should know what to look for.
Yeah, but I
It's
guess it's
weird.
like you really have to zone in on the thing being studied. And I guess it was, but that would have made an impact to it because I bet we would have seen a big difference.
Yeah.
I bet the people doing it slowly would have seen even less muscle loss than that 25% if they were resistance training.
Yeah, and honestly, that's not actually when you think about postmenopausal women and that drastic amount of calories, 25% is less than you would think it would be.
For muscle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think it
Yeah,
would be
exactly.
more.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I
thought that was
think it would.
interesting. But the other thing about this in general was the whole idea of like rapid fat loss in the beginning. So the results also spoke to this idea of that high motivation in the beginning and kind of getting that quick win and seeing that big scale jump led to more weight loss overall for that
Yeah.
group, even though they ended up increasing their calories. And so there's like different strategies that we can take with different clients. And one of them is to start with calories as high as possible while still seeing results. Because that would be the goal, right? If you can bring your calories from 2,500 to 2,000 and you start to see the scale go down, but you're eating 2,000 calories a day and you're feeling very satiated, like that's a win, right? Maybe. Because maybe for somebody who's like, but they're bare, like you as a coach are seeing like a quarter pound, half a pound a week. And to you, that's like very manageable. But the reality is, if that person could lose more weight more quickly, maybe they would be more excited and more motivated and more bought into the process. However, the dark side of that is that if it's not managed properly, clients can start to like equate those faster results with better results because there's no way
Yeah.
you can maintain it. So that's the thing about rapid weight loss in the beginning is that it's going to slow down. It has to slow down. There's no way it
Yeah.
can keep up this fast. So, but if you start to equate that faster result equals better, and then when it slows down, you get frustrated. It's like there's two sides to it, right?
Mm-hmm. That was in Jordan Syatt's book. That was a strategy he had
Yeah,
in there.
he
Yeah,
did. He
like
had a rapid fat loss protocol.
where it was, yeah, you cut their I forgot what he had percentages in there. I forgot what you cut their calories by in the beginning. It's really low, but just to give them that win, and then it keeps them motivated to continue, basically, like
Yeah.
that study showed. Yeah.
You know what's funny though is I used to send that book to clients. There was a period of time where I sent that book to clients that were starting.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one in particular who started very high motivation. She was going to be getting married in like 9 months and she really wanted to lose weight. And we were strength training and doing other things. I think you might have worked with her. I don't actually remember.
Yeah, I
And
think I know
then,
who you're talking about.
yeah. And then she read that book that I sent. And then I think we were trying to be very moderate with calories. I think I remember the goal was, since we were 9 months out from her wedding, the goal was to start high with calories. And then as we got closer to the wedding, drop them down so she could then, instead of dropping them down initially and then risking having that weight loss in the beginning and then going up before the wedding, which is the opposite of what she wanted. So we had very much like, it was practical, right? But then I sent that book. And I think this is about when I stopped sending that book, actually, because I remember her messaging me and being like, oh my God, thank you so much for the book. I read it and I'm really motivated by the rapid fat loss protocol. I'm going to do it. And I told her all the reasons why. I was like, well, here's why I don't think you should. I think you should wait. I think you should wait till you're closer to the wedding. I think these are the risks of it happening. However, obviously it's your choice and we'll support you in whatever you want to do. And I think it was like 2 months after that, she ghosted.
Yeah.
Completely ghosted. Yeah. And we didn't hear from her since. And I hope her wedding went wonderful, but I have a feeling that's exactly what happened. Well, she got really motivated. She had the rapid fat loss and then fell off the train and gained it all back. But by then she was 4 months before the wedding and then was panicking.
Yep.
It sucks.
And you're really, that's the other reason why it can work, is because you're motivated in the beginning and then it gets
Uh-huh.
easier later on. I am not motivated in the beginning. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Actually, like, I almost didn't want to do this cut. I was like, do I have to? I'm sick of doing this. I don't
Yeah.
want to do this anymore. You know?
I'm not motivated in the beginning. Like I'll get there once I get in it, but it takes
Mm-hmm.
me a while to get in it. But it's like
It
mental.
does.
If you take me right now and you tell me to go start tracking at 1,000 calories a day, I
Mm-hmm.
am gonna all of my eating disorder and body dysmorphia and all of those things are gonna come back within 24 hours flat. Like it instantly triggers all of that.
I think I was more motivated when I was more overweight too. You know? It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's like I don't know. Like I'm
Yeah.
healthy. I don't
Yeah,
really
it's
need
hard.
to.
And that's where like coaching's hard, but it's also hard because people don't necessarily know themselves. They don't know what certain cycle they might think, oh, I'm this type of person, but then you implement something you think aligns with that and it
Mm-hmm.
backfires. And it's like, oh, wait, maybe I'm not actually that kind of person in this scenario. And so they're figuring themselves out, but you're also trying to figure them out. And you might have something, a strategy that works for some people at some times, but then it backfires for them and you got to try something else. And it's hard because you got to try different things
Yeah.
and sometimes not. Sometimes you do something and it sticks and it works and it's great. But other times it's like you're both trying to figure that person out.
But by the way, that doesn't work with me either. My body doesn't respond to that like big drop in calories. I've done that before. I think it was last summer.
And it'll
There was
do
a
the same
reason
thing
I
it always does.
what?
It's gonna lose the same amount of weight anyway, whether you eat 1,100 or whether you eat like
It,
16.
I didn't lose anything. I dropped my calories down to like 12. I forgot the reason why. I don't know if I was just doing like okay, I'm just gonna do like a quick 2 week fat loss just to lose like a pound or two, whatever. And I dropped my calories down to 1,200 to 1,400 calories, and I was there for 2 weeks. I
Yeah.
didn't lose a pound. I didn't lose 1 pound. Then I upped my calories. It wasn't
And it
even
went
to
down.
maintenance. It was like no, it went up. I gained
Oh.
weight. And I was
Oh my
like,
God.
this screwed me up. Like, I can't do this. My body is just like, no, we
It's
are
like sticking
not.
its tongue out at you.
Yeah, it's like it's like I mean you've heard that before, right? With women,
Mm-hmm.
like our bodies don't always respond to these stress things the same way as men do. So my
Mm-hmm.
body is probably just like once that happens, it like freaks out and it's like, no, we got to hold on to everything because there's a famine.
There's a
So-
famine.
So I can't do that. It will backfire. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
could
so
probably, if I
it is
dropped it
so
down to like
interesting.
800, I would have to lose weight, but it's just,
Yeah.
yeah. I have to go slow.
It's so interesting. I'm rolling in my head all of these different scenarios of how different things work for different people at different seasons.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I've tried things with the client once and it didn't work. So I tried something else, it didn't work. Tried something else, okay, that's working. And then all of a sudden it wouldn't work. And it was usually mentally that it wouldn't work. It's not like their body
Yeah.
stopped responding. It was like mentally they couldn't do it anymore. So then we go through a pause period and they're kind of waffling, whatever. And then we get back, okay, I'm going to get serious again. And we start the process over. Oh, whoa, lo and behold, the first thing works now. And it's just like, it's just like, you just got to try different things. That's why I really like the idea of like, I almost want to give people a visual. Like I'm giving you a tool belt and every month we're going to put a different tool in it and you're going to fill up your tool belt.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be your job for the rest of your life to pick which tool you need because it's going to be different depending on how you feel, where you're at, what life's like, whatever. You can grab a different tool for whatever. And I'm going to give you that tool belt.
Yeah, that's true. Another thing that doesn't work for me that works well for other people is like the breaks. So I don't know what you want to call it, but like, okay, I'm going to eat in a deficit for 3 weeks. Then I'm going to jump up to maintenance. Then I'm going to eat in a deficit for 3 weeks and jump up to maintenance. That does not work for me at all.
It doesn't work for me either because once I'm in a deficit, I'm in a rhythm. And if I break that,
I'm screwed.
It really,
it doesn't give me motivation
it.
to go back into it.
It doesn't. And it doesn't feel good actually to increase my calories at that point. If I'm already in it, I'm feeling good. And when I eat, it's like, It
Like a
messes with
day
me
or
for
two,
sure.
maybe. Like if I have like a day
Yeah.
where I'm like, okay, I need a little extra calories today. That might make me feel good for like a day or
Yes.
two. But anything more than that, no. And it doesn't. Yeah, no. And then sometimes when I jump up, it's like, well, now the scale went back up, and now I'm all screwed up, and now I'm like, like, do I even want to do this anymore? You know?
You know, 9 times out of 10, though, when I'm in a very consistent deficit and I get to the point where I have a day where I blow it for good reason,
Mhm.
almost always the scale goes down the next day.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
It's like my metabolic fire got a whole bunch of
yeah,
logs thrown on it and it's like whoosh. But if I let
yeah,
that go another day or two or three, that's where like
yeah.
the other
That's what
argument for
I'm
doing
thinking,
it for
like
like
a
a
week or
week.
something.
After that first day or two, it goes, oh, okay, got it. We're
Yeah,
eating more now. I'm going to increase
yeah,
bodies.
yeah. I mean, remember last year? I think it was like one of our first episodes of the podcast. I was talking about that. Like I was eating like 1,350. My weight was like 123, 123, 123. And then I was like, screw this. I'm not doing this anymore. And I ate more and my weight dropped. I got down to like 121 after
Yeah.
eating more food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what's funny? You know how like maybe 5 weeks ago we were podcasting and you were asking me about nutrition or body or whatever, and I was like, I'm just so happy with where I'm at right now. Like I don't think you and I was like,
Yeah.
it's probably gonna change. But like
Yeah.
right now, I feel so good and so confident. Like you give me a bikini right now, I will strut it.
Yeah.
Now I want to be like 128 again. Like I'm like going beyond even what my last probably 3 years of my lowest weight has been. The last 3 years, my lowest weight has been like 132, with
Yeah.
my high being around 138. I've been floating. 132 is my low. 138 ish is when I know I need to. All right, rein it in.
Yeah.
And now I'm like 128 sounds great, which is so funny, right? I'm just like what?
Yeah.
But
And
that's where I'm at.
every year my weight technically can be higher because I'm building muscle, but I'm still like my goal
Yeah.
is still 120. It's just going to be a fitter 120 than it would have been last year at 120. You
Yeah.
know, I could definitely tell I built muscle in my shoulders and my quads. They both got hit this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Still not, probably not as much as you have, but it's getting
Well, I'm elite in muscle building.
there.
I still don't think I have a desire to have more muscle anywhere. I'm very happy with the
No.
amount of muscle that I have, but I would like to be able to see it better, which is where it comes down to. Like sometimes I look back, I think that's maybe where my mind is because I was looking back at old videos that I used to post on social media. And even though I had less muscle and I wasn't as strong, some of them I feel like I look like I have more muscle because I'm more lean.
Yeah, that happens too.
So I'm
Yeah.
just kind of like, well,
Well, that's the other thing I'm working on too. Not just upper body is my core because I never work out my core very much,
mm-hmm,
but more of like core strength than
mm-hmm.
doing. I hate sit ups. I just hate sit ups so much.
I really
So
like
doing
weighted
like
sit-ups. I don't know why.
L sit, like hanging L sits from from the pull up bar.
Ooh,
Those are
those are
so
tough.
hard.
Oh my
I
god, those are
can't do
so
them.
hard.
I'm trying so hard. They're so challenging. So like I just want to build up that core strength, but I think that's an area too that like if I built more muscle in my core, that would look better, you know?
Yeah. You said hanging Elsits?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how freaking hard toes to bar is? Have you ever
Yeah.
tried to do toes to
Yeah.
bar?
Yeah.
I watch people do it and I'm like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then I
It's more challenging
cannot.
than it looks.
Holy crap,
Yeah.
it is hard.
Yeah. I can kind of do it. Yeah. Not very many of them.
Yeah, same. My
Yeah.
legs bend. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to be straight. I want to
And
do it straight. Oh,
dragonflies,
those are so
man.
hard.
So like that's what, so during the, I'm doing that triphasic training during the eccentric focused, I was doing dragonflies, because that's basically what that is, like the slow lowering. And now I'm doing the isometric. So I'm doing more of like the hanging L sits, like trying to hold it. I don't know what I'm going to do in the concentric, but yeah.
Weighted sit-ups.
Yeah. I don't like them though. They're stupid. I want to
I
build
like 'em.
like,
I don't know why.
I want to build like, I feel like I could do like 500 of them. I want to do something where it's like hard,
Get a 30-pound weight and then do those.
I do.
They feel challenging.
I can do so many, you know?
With 30 pounds?
Yeah.
You're
I
annoying
totally
me.
can. What's
I'm
that?
leaving. You're annoying me. I'm leaving the podcast now.
I mean, yeah, I can. Yeah.
Okay. Then increase the weight. 50 pounds.
It's hard because it's hard to hold stuff. Like I don't like a dumbbell's weird. It just the big plates are weird. I don't really know
Here's
what
a
to
question.
use. Yeah.
When you come down from those sit-ups, do you completely lay down or do you hover? Because I hover. I hover.
I don't know.
I don't
try
let
to
myself
unroll.
fall down.
No,
I
I go
unroll.
really slow. I like unroll myself.
I unroll, but then I hover my shoulders, so I'm still very activated. And then I come back up, and then I unroll, and then I.
No, I think I fully unroll, and then roll back up, and then unroll.
I'm still better.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, you had some questions, but we can do those next time.
Yeah, again, I didn't even need them.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week. If you like this, please share it, comment, like, all those things, and we will see you next week.
Bye.